Do you know that Australia has a population of around 27 million people, yet it is home to nearly 200 million rabbits, almost 10 times the human population? These rabbits have caused such widespread destruction in Australia that the government has officially declared them a highly destructive species, and despite multiple efforts, it has struggled to fully control or eliminate them. On the other hand, over the past 30 years, China has imported more than 4 million rabbits, not for consumption, but for a unique experiment in the Kabuki Desert, the results of which have amazed the entire world. Dear viewers, when a desert gradually expands and engulfs fertile land, turning it into desert, the process is known as desertification. One of the biggest victims of this process has been China's Kabuki Desert. There was a time when this desert was expanding at a rate of nearly 500,000 acres per year, consuming vast areas of fertile land annually. During that period, China made every possible effort to slow down desertification. In the 1950s and 1960s, several projects were launched, sand control centers were established, and tree plantations were carried out. However, this vast sea of sand seemed almost impossible to control. Then one day, a local entrepreneur named Wang Wenbiao changed everything. He invested his own money into an unusual idea. On hundreds of acres of desert land, he began arranging dry shrubs in square patterns and planted willow trees in the middle of them. These willow trees can survive with very little water because their roots can reach as deep as 300 feet underground in search of moisture. Their wood can also be used for making paper and furniture, but only if they can successfully survive in the desert environment. The strong winds of the Kabuki Desert constantly blow sand across the land, causing the moisture in the soil to evaporate rapidly. To protect the young trees from these harsh winds, shrubs were planted around them as barriers. At first, people mocked Wang, who plants trees in a desert, but no one understood the true depth of his plan. After about 3 years, when everything seemed to be progressing well, a new problem emerged. The willow trees required special maintenance. If they were to be sold for industrial use, their new branches needed to be pruned regularly so that the main trunk could grow thicker and stronger. However, carrying out this process in the harsh desert environment proved to be extremely difficult and expensive. And this is where the story takes a new turn. This is the stage where rabbits enter the picture, especially the Rex rabbit, known for its fur that is as soft and smooth as that of an otter. This fur is so soft, expensive, and luxurious that it is used to produce high-quality textiles. But the question is, why were these rabbits brought here? The answer lies in a small habit of theirs that ended up transforming the entire ecosystem of the Kabuki Desert. Rex rabbits love to eat the newly grown shoots of willow trees. When they feed on these thin, fresh branches, it naturally helps the main trunk of the tree grow thicker and stronger. This is extremely valuable for the paper industry, as stronger trunks can be sold at a higher price. In other words, the rabbits were not only feeding themselves, but also indirectly supplying valuable raw materials to the paper industry. This created a win-win situation, benefiting both the environment and the economy. But this was only the beginning of the story. As mentioned earlier, willow tree roots can extend up to nearly 300 feet deep into the ground. These deep roots penetrate the sand and gradually improve its structural stability. As a result, during strong winds, the sand no longer blows away easily, and the moisture within it does not evaporate as quickly. Meanwhile, the rabbits began to reveal their real ecological contribution. The waste of Rex rabbits, their droppings, started functioning as a natural fertilizer. In China's zero-waste approach, even this became a valuable resource. Another important aspect is that Rex rabbits reproduce extremely fast. A single female rabbit can give birth to around 50 offspring in a year. As their population increased rapidly, so did the amount of organic waste they produced. This, in turn, significantly improved soil fertility. Gradually, the once barren desert sand began transforming into cultivable land, where organic vegetables are now being grown. Another remarkable trait of Rex rabbits also played a crucial role in this transformation. They can digest grass, but they cannot digest grass seeds. As a result, these seeds pass through their digestive system unchanged and are released along with their droppings. After some time, these very seeds begin to grow into new grass, further accelerating the greening of the desert. In other words, the rabbits not only helped maintain the willow trees, but also accelerated the growth of new grass. And eventually, their soft and valuable fur also began to be sold in the market at high prices. This entire process gradually turned into a self-sustaining cycle. It was almost as if the rabbits themselves were slowly transforming the desert into a green landscape. After the success of this experiment, Wang Wenbiao did not stop there. He rented around 100 bulldozers and began leveling the sand dunes of the Kabuki Desert. He filled pits, flattened the land, and started planting willow trees in those areas as well. At the same time, he encouraged local people to raise Rex rabbit. With the support of the Chinese government, millions of Rex rabbits were distributed among local communities. As a result, almost every household gradually turned into a small farm. This project continued for nearly 10 years, and the entire region underwent a dramatic transformation. Where once there was nothing but sand, there is now vast greenery. The total area of the Kabuki Desert is about 18,600 square kilometers. According to reports by the United Nations, nearly 33% of it, around 6,250 square kilometers, has now been transformed into greenland. This remarkable achievement is the result of more than 30 years of continuous effort. Due to this extraordinary transformation, the Kabuki Desert is no longer known as a sea of death. Instead, it has gained global recognition as an ecological marvel. But it is not just the environment that has changed. People's lives have also been transformed. The Chinese government invested approximately 3 billion yuan, around 400 million US dollars, into this region. Through this investment, new villages were developed, and thousands of people were provided with employment opportunities within the desert itself. Today, millions of acres of former desert land support livelihoods. More than 2,000 farms have been established, and around 3 million Rex rabbits are sold each year. The average annual income of a farmer has now reached about $9,600. In other words, people who once fled the desert are now choosing to stay and build stable, prosperous lives there. According to estimates, the lives of nearly 10 lakh people have been completely transformed. In 2017, when media journalists visited the region, they observed that the environment had improved nearly tenfold compared to the past. Trees, grass, animals, and humans were now coexisting in a balanced and harmonious ecosystem. But at this point, a natural question arises. If rabbits can help turn a desert green, why are they so dangerous in Australia? The answer lies in history. Before 1859, there were no rabbits in Australia. Then, a British settler named Thomas Austin released just 24 rabbits into the wild so they could breed and later be hunted for sport. However, within about 70 years, their population exploded to such an extent that it went completely out of control. In Australia, rabbits spread freely in a natural environment without sufficient predators or control mechanisms. In contrast, in China, they were placed within a carefully planned and controlled system, where their population and role were managed for maximum benefit. That is why rabbits became a curse in Australia, but a blessing in China. However, the story of the Kabuki Desert does not end here. This region is also home to the world's largest solar power image, known as the Jiuma Solar Power Plant. Spread across approximately 6,000 acres, this massive installation consists of nearly 5 million solar panels. When viewed from space, it forms the shape of a running horse. According to Guinness World Records, it has been recognized as the largest solar panel image in the world. By 2022, this plant had generated around 2.3 billion kilowatt hours of electricity. As a result, China has saved approximately 7,600 tons of coal and reduced carbon dioxide emissions by about 1.8 million tons. But if you think this power plant only generates electricity, you would be mistaken. It is also actively helping to combat desertification. The solar panels block direct sunlight from hitting the ground beneath them, which significantly reduces evaporation. This creates conditions where grass can grow. To manage this grass, Rex rabbit are once again being used. The rabbits eat the grass and also help spread grass seeds through their droppings. In this way, not only is desertification being reduced, but free energy is being generated, and at the same time, rabbit fur continues to be sold at high prices, creating a truly sustainable and multi-benefit system. Additionally, due to the presence of solar panels, the speed of strong winds in the region has been reduced by nearly 50%. As a result, less sand is blown away, and the land is gradually becoming more fertile on its own. If you visit the Kabuki Desert today, you will see sheep, goats, ducks, and Rex rabbit living together in harmony. Beneath the solar panels, green grass grows, while clusters of willow trees surround the area, something that once seemed impossible to imagine. No one could have believed that this sea of death would one day be known as a sea of life, and this extraordinary transformation began with the proper use of a small animal, the rabbit. Today, researchers around the world are referring to this model as an eco-economic revolution. According to reports, nearly 50% of the Earth's land area consists of dry or desert regions, and about 40% is actively struggling against desertification. Now, regions including Europe and even the United States are trying to learn from China's eco-economic model. The message of the Kabuki Desert is clear. If humans and nature work together, even a sea of death can be transformed into a garden of life.